Live from our studios here at number 11, Dr. Martin Loop in Adabraka in Accra. My name is Salom Adunu. Tonight I'm here with
Hawa Idrisu Mustafa.
Coming up over the next 90 minutes.
You dare not try anything on the life of any Ghanaian. You cannot threaten Ghanaians. Your party will lose and you'll be the first to run away. This is what we have said in Adaklu. The God we serve can tell you that you dare not.
NDC sends direct response to Brian Champon over the latest comment last week that the MPP will use whatever means possible to win election 2024. The question is the political rhetoric peaking ahead of time, and what implications are there for us? We'll tell you more on this later on Eyewitness News. Also coming up, youth are cautiously optimistic about NDC's promise for free tuition for all level 100 students. We will tell you or provide you more details on why they are cautiously hopeful of the promise. Still on Eyewitness News, all is set for the MPP's manifesto launch on Sunday. We'll provide you updates from the party on Eyewitness News tonight. Stay with 97.3 Citi FM for more on this and other stories on Eyewitness News and in business.
IEA reiterates calls for government to adhere to fiscal consolidation measures to sustain economic stability achieved so far.
There is more business in the next 50 minutes. Eyewitness News is live across the country on all our affiliates and around the globe at citynewsroom.com. In the Western region, we are on Premier 100.5 FM in Takoradi, Beach 105.5 FM, and Sky Power 93.5 FM also in Takoradi. In the Bono region, this is Greener 95.9 FM in Sunyani, and Hames Radio 106.5 FM in Goso in the Ahafo region. In the Ashanti region, this is Alpha Radio 104.9 in Kumasi, and Orange 107.9 FM also in Kumasi. In the Volta region, Global 105.1 FM in Ho, and Adanu 107.7 FM at Adakluwaya. In the Northern region, Diamond 93.7 FM in Tamale. In Upper West, Westlink 88.1 FM at Laura. And in the Upper East region, this is Source 100.1 FM at Boku, and SCAP 101.3 FM at Nangpanduri in the Northeast region. Your comments are welcome via WhatsApp line 0549986996. You can follow me on Twitter at Salom Adunu, Twitter or X at Salom Adunu. The hashtag, as always, is Citi Newsroom. Howard gives us our very first story.
The Member of Parliament for Adaklu in the Volta region, Kwame Governs Agboja, has warned that any attempt by the New Patriotic Party (NPP) to use force to rig the elections will be met with resistance from the National Democratic Congress (NDC). His comments were in response to a statement by the Abetifi MP Brian Champon, who said the NPP would do whatever it takes to win the December 7 polls. Although Brian Champon clarified that his statement was not intended to incite violence, Governs Agboja, speaking during the tour of the NDC flag bearer in the region, said John Dramani Mahama said that the NDC would remain vigilant during the elections.
Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces before, and you brought honor and respect to the office of the Commander-in-Chief. The current Commander-in-Chief appears to lose control to the extent that miscreants in his government are threatening the peace and security of this country. I'm talking about my colleague in Parliament, Honorable Brian Champon, threatening that the sea will burn because they are going to try to rig the election. I have a simple message for you, my colleague. Just as you have been defeated in the hostile overtake of the hotels belonging to SNIT, you will surely fail if you attempt to use force to do anything. This is Adaklu. We can tell you, you dare not try anything on the life of any Ghanaian. You cannot threaten Ghanaians. Your party will lose and you'll be the first to run away. This is what we have said in Adaklu. The God we serve can tell you that you dare not. You dare not. President Mahama will win, and President Akufo-Addo would have to hand over to him, and your party has no business trying to hold on to power. So if anybody in government, and we have said it before, Your Excellency, that they are planning to do what they did in 2020 by orchestrating the murder of 8 Ghanaians during an election which has never happened before. I am saying, if you are a security personnel or those being trained by my colleague Brian Champon and co., at least the boundaries of Volta region before you cross with that mindset. Be prepared that in self-defense, you might become the victim. This is a promise. It is not a threat.
That was the Member of Parliament for Adaklu, Kwame Governs Agboja.
Let's speak to a political historian. The question or the issue really is it does appear that the political rhetoric is heating ahead of time. And the question is, should we be concerned about the statement? Last week we heard from Brian Echampo, even though later he justified it by saying that he didn't mean violence. Here we are from the minority chief whip, Governs Kwame Agboja, trying to meet Brian Echampo's statement boot for boot. Let's speak to Professor Samuel Edu Jemfi, who is a political historian at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Hello, good evening, sir. Welcome to Eyewitness News. Should we be concerned about such rhetorics from politicians at this time?
We should be, at least the history of Africa should tell us that, and how we have had our own democratic turnovers and when we have not, as a result of lack of clarity in our speeches, and also when we speak based on fever pitch to incite people, and also not speak based on a measured tone as a consequence of what we have heard our opponent talk about or speak. I think that we need to understand that even though from an aesthetic viewpoint, Ghana looks quiet and peaceful and seem to have a quiet and a peaceful people. Remember that statements that are able to incite people can gravitate us towards violence. And we have seen that when a people find a common cause to especially see an enemy in another, they are likely to respond vehemently and harshly. And so it is important for us to appreciate that the NDC and the MPP, as a result of party affiliation, as we have seen in our politics in Ghana, people can be very sentimental, and the extent of attachment to political parties is like twins that are conjoined, or Siamese twins. And because of that, we have to be very careful to watch what we say and how we communicate to party people. And I think that the two gentlemen have not done justly to the cause and the future of our democracy. It is important to have clarity in your statement, and more so where an opponent has even erred, among other things, the tone and the zest with which you respond must be measured in such a way that the choice of your words would rather call for sanity, call for clarity, and call for order, and not seem to have a certain tone that seems to inflame passion. And I will say this, whether we like it or not, this country is ours, and the peace of it would be that which would come about as a result of how we engage each other in more decent and decorous discourses. And we can only achieve that when we respect the voters. Remember, the mandate is with the people. It is the people who deliver the mandate. It is our secret ballot, a universal adult suffrage will go there and cast our vote. And in casting our individual votes, it is going to be the sovereign will of the people that will definitely prevail. It will not be the will of any political party, i.e., anticipating to win or to retain power. It is the will of the people, the mandate of the people that will be delivered to the political parties. And they must respect that, and as a result of that, there should be some civility in the way they communicate and share their thoughts, among other things.
Yeah, so there should be some civility, but that civility may not come on its own. The issue is there appears to be institutions of state, so the Peace Council, NCC, etc., which have or who have some mandate or some job to do. It does appear that the opposition, for example, feels that these institutions are not doing their work the way they ought to do, and so they will want to take matters into their own hands and deal with same. Do you think that the way these institutions have conducted themselves, it may be right or wrong, I don't know, is that enough to elicit the kind of lack of confidence we're seeing from the opposition towards their work?
it seems to me that rather the challenge is not only coming from these institutions you have mentioned, but it seems to me that when the NPP or the NDC find themselves in opposition, they become highly antagonistic and suspicious of the Electoral Commission. And for that matter, the Electoral Commissioner, if he or she is seen to be tainted as a result of political party affiliation and coloration. It is therefore critical that around this time we would have an Electoral Commission and a commissioner that will be seen to be highly independent and willing to play the referee mandate or role that will calm the nerves of the opposition party. I would say, for a better, want of a right word, that they should provide for the NDC in particular and the opposition whatever they demand, that which will, insofar as they are not inconsistent with the Constitution and the laws that enjoin them to perform their duty as an independent arbiter of our elections. Because the extent of doubt, the extent of lack of trust that the MPP and or the NDC exhibit toward the Electoral Commission and the Commissioner is overtly suspicious and, if you like, among other things, glaringly disturbing. And so we should begin to have respect for our state institution, like the Electoral Commission and the Commissioner herself. And for that matter, the actors therein must be seen to be acting, for better word of a right word, within the ambit of the law which has set them in place and within their own rights as key stakeholders and actors should be seen to be independent referees and arbiters, and that in itself will contribute to the quiet and the peace we are anticipating. Among other things, yes, we make mention of the NCC when we have some of these discourses over time. The question is that the NCC has a clear role to play, at least fundamentally, to cause the citizenry to come to terms with their own rights and responsibilities as it pertains to the Constitution. And when we come to this time, they also have a responsibility to work and run, if you like, concurrently with the EC to give some kind of public education and to be wholeheartedly involved in ensuring the kind of peace and quiet. And if they are going to be able to achieve that, I think the state should be able to support, sponsor, and to back them up to do that. Again, we look at the Peace Council, as we have talked about. The discussion may lead us back to 2020. Was the NDC itself satisfied with the kind of responses they got from the Peace Council and other agencies of state who are supposed to be independent? The NDC remains suspicious about certain state, if you like, institutions. And for that matter, it leads her to have doubts going into this election. And I think that such institutions, whether state, independent, or private institutions, especially the other research think tanks and groups, must be seen to be doing justly to our democracy to ensure that they are not there as the appendages and the studies and bootlickers of their athletes, which really formed them and created them.
I see. So speaking about the Peace Council and election 2020 and matters arising, so for example, the NDC chairman, Johnson Asidun Ketia, is reported to have said that this time they will not bother themselves to enter into any peace accord prior to the 2024 general elections. His reason is because he feels, he and his party feel that such peace agreements, are irrelevant because they have failed to yield tangible outcomes, and so they have been rendered ineffective. They make the case that though they signed this agreement, in the election 2020, people were killed, etc. Violence occurred, but the Peace Council was nowhere to be found. What's your thinking around this position as espoused by the NDC General Secretary? The signing of the Peace Pact or the Peace Accord or Agreement as is supervised by the National Peace Council, you think it is irrelevant?
The Peace Council is superintended by priests, apostles, chiefs, other key stakeholders of state who are supposed to be nuanced about our culture, custom, I feel like how we as a people see ourselves, and with a dent of experience are supposed to be able to create a certain balance so that they become the pivot or the fulcrum around which we can seek peace from time to time, or consistently ensure that there is a balancing act to keep the peace going in the country. I would say that sometimes, even at the personal level, I've been a bit disappointed as to how the Peace Council comes out, either to speak on matters of state or matters which pertain to the NDC or the MPP. I think that the men and the women who form this council have a responsibility to have the kind of gravitas, the kind of authority, independently, privately, individually, and collectively, to let the truth to be made known to state actors who play a role to serve the cause of the state, to the political parties, to institutions, among other things, to those who have been given mandate to perform a role insofar as ensuring quiet and peaceful elections and free, fair elections. And so I am of the view, my humble opinion is that yes, the Peace Council is peopled by fine gentlemen and women. It is my humble opinion, that they must be seen to be tough, independent, and balanced to create the peace that we have always wanted, asked for, and pursued. I'll tell you this. When people do not have confidence in institutions, the state in itself will be led into disarray. And for institutions to act, institutions per se can create law and order and balance, but the actors within the institutions are those who are mandated by law and by right to ensure that they are able to execute what the law sets them in place to be and to act on. And so when you have actors who are not committed to the cause, who are sometimes seen in a certain light, then we have some of these problems, and we are called to the table to have some of these discussions. I want to challenge a body like the Peace Council to sit up, to call the shot, and to call a spade, and let it be known. In fact, in the Christian order or realm, it is their prophetic mandate to make sure that they echo the voices and the desires of the people and the voice of God in that realm.
I see. So the comments, very incendiary in most cases. Who calls the truce, or who will call for the truce? Who will step in and say, enough of this, let's be civil in how we address issues. Let's focus on the issues and let's not inflame passions. Who can step in and say a thing like this in our country today?
In the first instance, I've always talked about this. The fourth estate of the realm has been used as a tool to create some of these tensions. We have seen pockets of tension, and sometimes even much more in our political history. It's come about because we allow an NDC chap or MPP chap to sit on a morning show and to blow hot air across and to speak with overt bravado, beating the chest, banging tables, going at each other. There's a lot of responsible, journalism that must be required on our morning shows. There's a lot of responsible journalism that must be seen on our television. Today, the informal media, the social media, for that matter, has also taken over a lot. And because of that, there are questions about disinformation, misinformation, and also the ability to authenticate, to cross-check, to fact-check what is put out there. And it is as a result of that, I respect your particular platform, among others, that are beginning to see that we should have journalists who are trained in law, journalists who are trained in health, journalists who are, so that they come to the table with some specificity, not wandering generalities without any meaningful specifics. So when they are reporting and speaking to issues, they understand that. But the ethics of journalism also comes to the play. The Rwandan example will tell us a story Nobody should have the chance to sit on radio or use the fourth estate of the realm to satisfy their whims and caprices. But what is also equally significant is that the paymasters, the puppet masters within the media realm are politicians. Why do I say that? They own a lot of these media houses. And the policies that govern the editorial policies of these media houses, some of which are absolutely preposterous and whimsical, continue to engage us, in our democratic culture. Stomach-directed analysis, distasteful, useless analysis that beat, and continuously hit our eardrums every morning because they have the financial clout, they have the capital to buy the airwaves, to own it, and to use their studios to control it. And when we look at that in the era where military juntas and regimes were in control of the state, and that state media kowtowed, right, to the dictates of the state apparatus, it's similar even in the democratic culture when those who are the wielders and the holders of capital decide to buy the airwaves because they have the political backing of their, institutions to allow them to do so. So that's the major problem. We need to find a way to nip it and to ensure that it does not rear its ugly head as we build our embryonic democracy. On that same note, even on the first estate of the realm, you would agree with me that when a morning show host or any of the hosts of the other political programs seem not to be bought, but they are independent, you seem to also have or hear or see a certain balance, either visually and also through your auditory sense. You are able to appreciate that these people are doing a programming that is educating the people, bringing civility, and building on our democratic culture. Sometimes you call it agenda, right? You sit by a program, you listen to a program, you tune into a program, and you feel that it is one agenda. Having said that, media houses, historically, whether you go to China, the Soviet Union, or other places, could have their own editorial policy and even ideological framing. But the logics of same would not overlook quiet and peace and civility. And that we should not lose it, even in spite of our own challenges.
Very well.
Right?
How about the citizenry? It does appear that the citizenry condones such language from politicians, because if one politician speaks in a very harsh manner, taking on the other side, and the other side does not respond in equal measure, the people feel that the one who is not responding in equal measure is soft and is weak, and that demoralizes its base. So shouldn't the citizenry also take some of the blame? Because if we don't want it, I'm not sure they will continue doing it. If they do it and we punish them for it, they won't continue doing it.
Politics is the easiest way to become rich in this country, as we've seen in our contemporary history. And those who speak with overt bravado, insult and cast allegations, and who act as gentle hooligans on stages, on political platforms, are given their due reward with portfolios, right? And they move about with a certain grandeur. So I tell you, nothing is going to change unless the chief executive officer of Ghana, who will form his team to lead the country after each election, will not reward those who misbehave on platforms and who speak anyhow.
Very well.
And once that is done, we'll have some answers. The call is not with the citizens. It's not only with the citizenry. It is with those we give political power to.
Very well. Thank you so much for speaking to us. Professor Samuel Edu Jemfi is a political historian at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Now to that story I made reference to regarding Johnson Asiedu Nketia, chairman of the National Democratic Congress, saying that he does not see the relevance of signing peace accords. Here is the audio. He spoke to Joy TV earlier.
Declaration don't mean anything to us.
A peace declaration.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean anything to you.
It doesn't mean anything to us because all previous declarations have not been adhered to, and those declarations have not solved any problem. If you allow violence to be brewed, you have violence, whether you sign declaration or not. And so that is why, for more than a year ago, I started talking about the need for us to remove the building blocks for violent elections. So at any stage, when something is happening, I call on those who in future will call us to sign declarations to speak up so that we stop this particular thing from happening. Otherwise, if you allow all those things to build up, and you say that, let us go and play peace football match, let us sign declaration, let us do this with the hope that we will get a peaceful election will not happen. Because we did all this in 2020. All this and more in 2020. Council of State, Peace Council, everybody was involved, signing declarations left, right, center. The 2020 election turned out to be the most violent elections in the whole of the Fourth Republic.
So this year,
so it tells you that signing or no signing is not the issue.
So that was Johnson Asiedu Nketia, National Chairman of the National Democratic Congress, speaking there to Joy TV earlier. 97.3 Citi FM. A number of your text messages have come up or have come to us. We'll read them. We'll take a short break, return, and deal with the issue about the free tuition for level 100s and also the MPP's manifesto launch later this weekend. Don't go away.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Oh, jump on now.
Go. Google me. At what time when you come back, we are not hear the sound of your car? Why you buy new car?
No, I not change my car. It be the same ride. It be the fuel way I change. Way one shouts it. Ever since I started using the all-new Excellium Premium Fuel, fortified with 3-in-1 action. Oh, Joe, now my car they run like electric car. No, it's so.
This is the type of fuel where they want to. Because now engine they cost. Where they want for way if I buy it, it go protect my engine. And with the small way I buy, I go drive, sir.
Absolutely. It's like strapping a turbocharger to your engine and giving it a protector. And what they bust my mind said be the 3-in-1 action, no? Excellium they prevent up to 99% of deposit. It be anti-wear, some be anti-corrosion. Won't pay when I open there.
Hey, so where can I find this magical fuel?
Just head over to any Total Energy service station and your car will thank you.
Hey, then make a finish my gobe fast, then rush go Total Energies. My friend, but why your hand my gobe inside?
I give you info. Make a feel the gobe too small.
The go.
Excellium is designed to protect your car engine, decrease fuel consumption, and lower CO2 emissions. Don't say fuel, say Excellium. Choose Excellium, choose quality.
I am going to check my name and details on the voters register.
What's name? What register?
The Electoral Commission, as part of the preparations for the 2024 general elections, is conducting an exhibition of the voters register from Tuesday 20th August to Tuesday 27th August 2024 between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. daily.
Yes. Then I need to go and check mine right now. Yes. Check.
You need to check your personal details on the register, and if need be, put in claims for corrections. You also need to know your polling station.
Wow.
You can also object to the inclusion of persons who are not qualified to be on the register. The name of your relative who died must be removed from the register.
I need to go check for my name right now.
Yes.
Check.
But you need to know the date and time.
Check.
Yes, towards the conduct of the 2024 general elections, the Electoral Commission will display the voters register for public inspection. Make sure you check your details in person during the exhibition of the voters register from Tuesday 20th August to Tuesday 27th August 2024 between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. daily. Alternatively, registered voters can check their registration details on their phones by dialing *711*51# on all networks. Persons who have lost or misplaced their voter ID cards can go to the exhibition centers to check their registration details. Exhibition officers can help check their details even without their voter ID cards. A qualified voter may object to the name and particulars of a person on the grounds of being a minor, a foreigner, not of sound mind, impersonation, or not a resident of the area. Your vote is your future.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Now, the national president of the University Teachers Association of Ghana, UTAG, Professor Mamudu Akudugu, has expressed reservations about the recent promise by the NDC to scrap academic fees or academic user facility user fees for first-year students at public universities if elected in the 2024 general elections. The initiative, according to the NDC, is part of a broader reform strategy designed to enhance accessibility to higher education, particularly for students from economically disadvantaged backgrounds. Let's speak to Professor Mamudu Akudugu, the UTAG president, to better appreciate his viewpoint on this matter. Hello, good evening, Prof. Welcome to Eyewitness News. Is it your position that the free tuition for level 100s is not a welcome policy, or what exactly is your position?
Good evening, and good evening to your listeners. The position is that it's a good policy, but as they always say, the devil is in the detail. So for us, we want to have a fuller picture of the situation by getting information on what exactly is the full package for the tertiary education space, so that we can analyze them in collectively, because otherwise, for now, this is for students, and we know that they definitely have something also for faculty and for infrastructure and for other stuff. And so our demand or request is that we would want to have more detailed information about what is it that they plan for the tertiary education space, and also to engage further to talk about how best this proposed policy can be implemented to make the right impact that is desired.
Yes, they say that they want to redeploy the Student Loan Trust Fund to give continuing students the option to utilize students' loans to finance their university education, directly. So they've not launched the main manifesto yet, but this is the portion that deals with the youth. So for the youth, they are telling the youth about to enter the university, they are saying that for first year, you just go for free, like you did a free SHS, just bath and go. It's free, you go. So first year, you just go and everything is sorted. Once you have your admission letter, you go and that's it. Deepening access, which has been a major problem for many people. When they say when you get to the second year, now you can take advantage of the student loan trust, which they hope to redeploy to cater for fees, university fee payment, etc. That is what we know so far. We've not heard so much about a lot about the university education generally. Perhaps that may come in the bigger manifesto. So that is what we have now. The issue of access has been a major matter. They feel that this is how they can resolve it.
Yeah, that is, as you rightly put it, that is what we have now. And we are saying that it's okay to want to support students in that way. And we all know the problems with the free SHS. And we know also the position of the NDC on the free SHS regarding the mass implementation and the need to target. And so we believe that this policy also needs to be targeted. It shouldn't be free for all, because we believe that there are some parents who will be able to pay for university, the education of their children in the universities. Elsewhere in other jurisdictions, you have this kind of interventions being given out as scholarships, as grants, as bursaries to students and administered through the universities. Why can't we do that? Do we have to repeat the same mistakes that we made with free SHS at the university level? That could not be good for the university system. And so for me, or for us as UTAG, we believe that we can further engage. I mean, it's okay for the political class to propose what they want to do, but I think that we as the technical people should be given the opportunity to help shape how their propositions can better be implemented to benefit the masses and to make the right impacts. Otherwise, the bottom line is that you end up widening the inequality gap, because there must be equity. And equity means that you should give to people what can make them rise to the level of other people who are probably privileged. Otherwise, if you are giving everybody the same thing, it means that you are simply promoting the inherent inequalities that already exist. And so we believe that, as we said, we have sent some requests to the flag bearers who want to meet them and have more detailed conversations on these matters so that we can together come out with, support them to implement whatever propositions that they are given in a way that will not disadvantage anybody and will bring about equity and will bring about the desired impact that we want to make.
I see. Thank you so much, Prof. Mahmudu Akudugu, National President for UTAG, for speaking to us on this. We'll get some more answers from the NDC who have promised this particular, or who have made this particular promise. Thank you so much for speaking to us on Eyewitness News. Now let's talk to Dr. Clementa Park, who is a deputy ranking member on the Education Committee of Ghana's Parliament. Hello, good evening, Doc. Welcome to Eyewitness News. The promise for a free tuition for level 100s appear quite scanty, and UTAG is saying that UTAG, which you were formerly a member of, is saying that they will need some further and better particulars about what your package is for universities in general, so they can collectively put everything together and have a view on it. But for now, they have expressed some reservations about the free tuition bit. What do you say?
Well, Salom, let me say good evening to you and good evening to our listeners. And to say good evening to my constituents in Busa South, because Citi FM is avidly listening to in my constituency. Salom, I disagree with your premise. In fact, I also have a problem with the way you presented our policy proposal. First of all, I have heard the UTAG president. I heard him sometime yesterday, and I've heard major players in the educational sector. None of them has said that the policy is not a good policy. None of them has said that. So let's begin on the premise that the policy is deemed to be a good policy, and that stakeholders are now seeking and or asking for better and better particulars, as you, the lawyers, would say. But having said so, I appreciate the position of UTAG. And of course, I'm a member of UTAG, currently on a long sabbatical. And I know that indeed when the full manifesto is unveiled on the 24th of this month, that will then set the stage for us to have a much more holistic discussion on the proposals that we are making with regard to tertiary education in general and university education in particular. That time would come. But you see, the reason why I raised concerns about the way you presented the proposal is that you were not factual when you made the case suggesting that you just go to first year, you wake up and bath, and that is not what we have said.
I said that in zest, and it was really how the free SHS was sold to us, more or less. That you don't pay anything, so you just go there. So you go with your admission letter. You go with your admission letter, and then you are fine to go.
No, that is not what we have said.
Okay.
And that is why it's important to clarify, because people are jumping all over themselves to try and change the narrative to suggest that what we are doing is merely an extension of what has been happening at the secondary level, which is not the case. What we have said and what the flag bearer has said is this. We know that there's a challenge to do with people who have applied and have received admissions to start their tertiary education. One of those challenges has to do with the ability to pay. And based on that challenge, which has come to us on the basis of consultations with young people, we have then decided that when you qualify, you apply and you qualify, and you are given admission to take up your place in a public tertiary institution, the incoming NDC government would absorb your academic user fee, or as we say, academic fee. Only that component is what we are going to absorb. And we believe that if we were to do that, it then allows the students to be able to register and get all the needed documentation and ID cards. So by the end of the first year, we would have also retooled Get Fund by decapping it. Get Fund would be able to maximize its inflows. Get Fund would then be in a position to properly finance the student loan trust. And many people don't know, but the major source of funding that goes to the student loan trust is through Get Fund. But because of the collateralization of Get Fund and the capping, the Get Fund doesn't have sufficient to undertake its core mandate and to have sufficient resources to transmit to the student loan. So currently, as we speak, if you speak to students who have applied for student loans, they don't get the student loans. And even when they get the loans, the maximum is 3,000 Ghana cedis a year. So we are presenting a synergized approach. It's not just supporting them to gain to get onto the campuses and take up their places. But we are going to Get Fund, retool the student loan trust so that they can transition second, third year ongoing by taking the loans. And we've also talked about the issue of accommodation because the numbers obviously would increase. And if the numbers increase, what are we going to do in terms of finding them both residential accommodation and academic space? And that is why we spoke about
I see the Bed for All program where you hope to bring in a private sector to build accommodation facilities, etc., etc.
So,
but you and I have had conversations around the free SHS and the fact that it lacks targeting. Doesn't this also appear to be falling in the same, trap of poor targeting or no targeting at all? And the question UTAG is asking is, where is the equity? Why don't you target persons who cannot pay and then give them this opportunity? Why do you make it free for all at level 100? Why won't it be targeted so that we can have value for money?
First of all, let me respond by beginning this way. I have heard a lot of discourse in the public domain seeking to suggest that somehow our party has raised public opposition to the wholesale implementation of the free high school policy. That is not the official position of the NDC, and nowhere has John Dramani Mahama said that. But even so, we acknowledge that there are stakeholders in the educational space, and we are obligated to consider and listen to their input because we believe that they also mean well. But you would agree with me that no matter how well a policy is designed and or thought through, there is bound to be some entities and individuals who would have ideas about the way it ought to have been presented. And we welcome that. But that is not going to let us give up on the proposal that we have presented. We have said time without number that unlike our opponents who are averse to reviewing policies, when we roll out and start implementing this policy, clearly over time, we will take a look at it, we will re-examine it, and if it becomes necessary to make adjustments so that it can better serve the purpose for which we introduce it, we will do so. But in the meantime, we hold our position. We believe it is justified. We believe we can fund it. And we would want to call on stakeholders to give us the benefit of the doubt. They should let us publicize our full manifesto, and then we will continue the engagement in the national interest.
Very well. Good. So very well. So in the education sector, there's also the issue about CTAG. They are still on strike. I don't know if there are any moves by the education subcommittee towards helping resolve their issue. Of course, I know you are on recess, but is there anything that your committee can do to help bring a resolution to their issue?
Well, the short answer to your question is that the leadership of my committee is aggressively considering engaging the Ministry of Education, the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission or GTEC, PRINCOF, and of course the leadership of CTAG. Remember, we had done that. We had proposed to do that after we had made submissions on the floor of Parliament, Magusas in particular, which then, influenced the Speaker to direct that the Ministers for Education and Labour, Employment and Labour, come to the House and to meet us as a committee of the whole to tell us what steps the two ministries were putting in place to try and resolve this impasse as soon as possible. On the day that we had planned and had written to and received confirmation from CTAG and GTEC that they will be attending our meeting, we got communication to the effect that the minister had also summoned the same groups for a meeting. So we then had to postpone our earlier plan to meet with them. It was our hope that the outcome of that meeting and the monitoring committee that the minister said he had put in place would have led to a resolution of this issue. But it has been over 1 month, and now we are in day 65, and it doesn't look as though there is an end in sight. So, whilst we made an earlier effort, I believe that we are thinking about making another effort, but we also know that leaders of teacher trainees have also petitioned the Speaker of Parliament on the same matter. But in the meantime, Shalom, we ought to ask government to do the needful. The reason why this has prolonged to this time is because of the mistrust that CTAG has in terms of government's inertia in meeting its obligation. Last year, the strike occurred. We intervened. They went back. Government should have taken that opportunity to resolve all of these matters. Government went to sleep. And here we are again. So ultimately, the resolution of this matter lies in the bosom of government. Migrate them, give them their conditions, give them their designations.
Very well.
To the same level as their colleagues in the traditional universities, pay them their allowances, be transparent in the ongoing discussions, get some trust re-established. And I believe if that happens, this matter will be resolved as soon as possible. But we cannot be confident.
Very well. Thank you so much, Dr. Clement Park, Deputy Ranking Member on the Education Committee of Parliament and MP for Bosa South. Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Now, all is set for the launch of the governing New Patriotic Party's manifesto for the upcoming general elections at Takoradi in the Western Region on Sunday, August 18. Ahead of the event, the party will on Saturday hold a walk dubbed Bold Solutions Walk, also in Takrady. Western Regional Communications Officer of the party, Issa Fuseni, tells City News all is set for the two major events this weekend.
What is most important is for us to organize accommodation for the delegates who will be attending the program. And that has been done, I think, 3 days or 4 days ago. We've secured accommodation for them. Ground for the program, where the program will take place, is GSTS, Ghana Secondary Technical School in Takrady. We have a very big auditorium that can accommodate up to 3,000 members. Then we have a very big park around that place that they can address the gathering after the manifesto lunch. That place is also well prepared. Decorations are underway. They are doing it. Flags that are supposed to be visibility around the Western region, done that already through the organizers. Media, we are preparing accreditation for the media team and all other organizations that are necessary. We've given that a job to every department to work on it. So the team that was constituted by the Ghana Secretary and then the other 11-member team has worked very hard, making sure that they decentralize the job down to Western region, and some of us are also working towards Saturday and Sunday. The preparation will start from Saturday because we're having a mega walk, which we have named it Bold Solutions Walk in the Western region.
Mr. Issa Fuseni further added that all security arrangements have been put in place to ensure an incident-free event.
The party has written to the security service. They've drawn the attention on that the local one has been prepared, the national one has also been prepared. They've written all letters to them and they've agreed to beef up security in both the Bold Solution Walk and the manifesto lunch. So all of them have agreed, and I believe very well. I don't know the number of security men that will be deployed to the place, but we have enough. I think the IGP is working through the regional commander of Western region to provide enough security for the program.
So you heard the Western Regional Communications Officer for the New Patriotic Party, Issa Fuseni. A few of your messages that have come through here. Kwabena Emmanuel from Achimota says, NDC and MPP should give us a break. You are all the same. Zalex Dwayne in London says John Dramani Mahama will win the December election and nothing will stop that. Alasan Hamdan from Nyohini South said Brani Champon should understand that the 2024 elections are not just a display but a crucial moment in Ghana's history. Aka Paul Jr. from Ahafumim said it's about time Peace Council and other stakeholders called these violent politicians to order. I only hope their families follow them to cause mayhem when they beat war drums on election day. And Nyoja Bright in Nottinghamshire says, in the United Kingdom, says MPP has no idea how Ghanaians are unanimous about their exit in the 2024 elections. They will run away without looking backwards if they try anything funny. People are voting this year with hunger and anger. Baba Chairman in Tamale says nobody should gamble his or her life for any politician, be they left or right. Politicians must understand that Ghana won't bend because of their selfish and parochial interests. Jones Adoboinla says their loose talk will be met with equal measure. You don't step on the fool's balls for the second time. Violence begets violence. So we are for peace, but and you are not cowards, you say. I mean, we call for peace, actually. Fuseni Salifu Kaswa Zongo says now the energy crisis is gone, and it is as a result of the pragmatic measures of this government. We need to commend the government for being able to solve our energy crisis. Brandy Champon and his MPP, so this one says Brandy Champon and its MPP supervised the shooting incident in Ayawaso West Wagon. He and the MPP must not be entertained in Ghana's elections, and the peace we are enjoying, God will surely come through for us, you say. Mausi Ayebi Aista Abutia 30 Volta region says it's essential to respect the decisions made by political parties regarding peace declarations. NDC Chairman Johnson Aseni stance not to sign a peace declaration before the 2024 election demonstrates the party's commitment to ensuring fair and just electoral processes. It's important to trust in their judgment and support their efforts to maintain integrity throughout the elections. Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. City Business News is up next. Don't go away.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Are you feeling tired after a hard day's work? Have you lost your appetite even for your favorite dish? Viral Blood Tonic is a nutritionally balanced, pleasant-tasting tonic fortified with iron and vitamins to boost your appetite and energy levels for high performance. Viral Blood Tonic, easy to take and good for the whole family. Viral from Danex Iting Starwin PLC. If symptoms persist after 48 hours, consult a physician. This advert is FDA approved.
When you want to eat, just Momo it. Tired of the long queues in the supermarket? Pay with Momo. When you really want that beautiful new blouse, just Momo it. When you want to get a trim and get fresh to impress you know who, just Momo it. When you need to pay your utility bills and domestic staff, Shani Momo. When you want to send love to the family back home, send some Momo. Join the millions of MTN Momo users all over Ghana and live life the brighter way. So just Momo it. MTN.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens. Get the details. Every significant financial transaction, every market movement, and all the policies that affect your business. City Business News. Be informed.
Time now for City Business News on Eyewitness News. My name is Hawa Idrisu Mustafa. Details of our stories now. The Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana wants the government to halt the involvement of politically exposed persons in the distribution of farm input under the Planting for Food and Jobs Program Phase 2. The association notes that this practice contradicts the program's intended approach, which designated aggregators as responsible for the distribution. During a press briefing earlier today, Executive Director for the association, Bismarck Owusu-Norte, stressed the need for the appropriate stakeholders, including the designated aggregators, to carry out the distribution.
A lot of farmers have become disillusioned to the program since they are not benefiting from its maximum, they are not getting the maximum benefit. We therefore call for the complete cessation of the involvement of politicians in the input distribution process and allow the district agri departments, the aggregators, and the other value chain actors to play their role as assigned or enshrined in the PFJ implementation strategy. We want them to stop playing politics with our food. We also call on Parliament to summon the Minister of Food and Agri to address these emerging issues and concerns. Another major issue faced by farmers all over the country, especially in the northern and middle belt, is the lack of rainfall, which has caused many crops to wilt. For centuries, the Ghanaian farmer have relied on rains to nourish our crops, cultivate various types of crops, and to sustain the food security of the country. However, this year, the rains have failed and has put us in a state which we believe is quite close to the 1983 drought.
You heard the Executive Director of the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana, Bismarck Owusu-Norte. The Institute of Economic Affairs, IEA, has reiterated calls for the government to institute fiscal consolidation measures consisting of appropriate mix of revenue-enhancing and expenditure rationalization measures to rein in fiscal deficit. This is part of the IEA's policy brief to government ahead of the 2024 elections. We have more in this report.
In its policy brief to the incoming government, the Institute of Economic Affairs, IEA, is advocating for an enforcement of revenue measures aimed at stemming losses by closing the several loopholes in the tax system, including trade misinvoicing, property tax under collection, transfer pricing, money laundering, tax evasion, tax fraud, and tax system inefficiencies. Reducing recurrent expenditure on emolument and spending on goods and services would create room for increasing capital expenditure from current low levels of 4 to 5% to over 10% over the medium term to spur economic growth. Reducing the current fiscal rule of 5% deficit per GDP ceiling to a tighter rule of 3% in conformity with ECOWAS criterion. Monetary policy management should be strengthened through strict enforcement of the 5% ceiling on Bank of Ghana's lending to the government through reinforced parliamentary oversight. The IEA again recommends an improved inflation management by supplementing the inflation targeting framework with measures directly targeting supply and cost drivers of inflation, especially food prices, fuel prices, utility tariffs, transport fares, and the exchange rate through collaboration between the Bank of Ghana Ghana and the government. Monetary policy should be appropriately coordinated with fiscal policy to ensure a low regime of interest rates to spur investment and economic growth.
That was a news desk report by Naishika Caesar. Now, Quantum, Sage and Arc Holdings Limited, through its subsidiary Newgas, has clarified that its role in the government cylinder recirculation model is limited strictly to cylinder filling, with distribution and retailing of LPG left to oil marketing companies and LPG marketing companies. The company further rejected claims that it operates as a foreign entity, reaffirming its local ownership and deep commitment to Ghana's LPG sector. There is more in this report.
Amid growing scrutiny, Quantum, Sage and Arch Holdings Limited has firmly stated that Newgas, its subsidiary, is only responsible for cylinder filling as part of its involvement in government CRM initiative. The company emphasized that the distribution and retailing of LPG are exclusively handled by oil marketing companies and LPG marketing companies in accordance with regulatory framework. Newgas also indicated that its recent investments include a state-of-the-art LPG bottling plant completed in late 2023. The company also took the opportunity to refute recent reports that mischaracterized its ownership structure. Quantum, Sage and Arch Holdings Limited asserted that it is a fully local entity. By supporting the CRM, the company aligns itself with government efforts to improve LPG penetration, enhance safety and reduce reliance on wood fuels, ultimately contributing to Ghana's sustainable development goals.
The news desk report was filed by Edna Agnes Boachi. The Ghana Investment Promotion Center GIPC is advocating for local businesses to strategically focus on import substitution to strengthen the nation's economy. According to the GIPC, Ghana, alongside the broader African continent, possesses a wealth of natural resources that are increasingly sought after by global markets. The investment center believes leveraging these resources domestically could reduce dependency on imports and position Ghana as a critical player in global supply chains. At the 4th edition of the CEO's Connect, hosted by the Canada Chamber of Commerce, GIPC CEO Yofi Grant emphasized the need for Ghanaian businesses to adopt growth strategies that capitalize on the country's rich resource base.
We recognize that we can't keep exporting our raw materials and resources. And so the nascent transformation policy that we have is the one district, one factory policy, where we're going to leverage on our raw materials and resources to now add value and export, especially where we have the AFCFTA, which is the biggest tariff-free market in the world today. If we manufacture in Ghana and we send to the continent, it does better for growing our economy, but also a much greater opportunity for our business people to increase their wealth. So these are some of the important parameters that we have. And of course, being an agricultural nation as well, leveraging on agriculture as a raw material, but leveraging on our numerous raw materials that we have, mineral raw materials. We have gold, we have diamonds, we have oil, gas, we have manganese, we have bauxite, we have lithium, we have graphite, we have sodium and salt. All are very important for today's transition economy, especially when you're talking of energy transition.
That was the Chief Executive of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, Yofi Grant, ending City Business News on Eyewitness News. My name is Hawa Idrisu Mustafa. Up next is Point Blank.
Join us on this exciting journey as a new chapter begins on Sunday, 18th August 2024, under the distinguished patronage of the chairman of the New Patriotic Party, the flag bearer and presidential candidate, Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, and his running mate, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh. The NPP unveils the bold solutions to today's challenges. Tune in to your favorite TV channel and radio station and join us as we show the path to a brighter tomorrow. All roads lead to Secondary Takoradi on Sunday, August 18th at 1 p.m.
Oh, jump on now.
Go, the go. Google me. At what time will you come back where I don't hear the sound of your car? Why you buy new car?
No, I don't change my car. It be the same ride. It be the fuel way I change. Way one shouts it. Ever since I started using the all-new Excellium Premium Fuel, fortified with 3-in-1 action. Oh, Joe, now my car they run like electric car. No, it's so.
This is the type of fuel where they want to. Because now engine they cost. Where they want for way if I buy it, it go protect my engine. And with the small way I buy, I'll go drive, sir.
Absolutely. It's like strapping a turbocharger to your engine and giving it a protector. And what they bust my mind, Seth, be the 3-in-1 action, no? Excellium, they prevent up to 99% of deposit. It be anti-wear, some be anti-corrosion. Won't pay when I open there.
Hey, so where can I find this magical fuel?
Just head over to any Total Energy service station and your car will thank you.
Hey, then make a finish my gobe fast, then rush go Total Energies. My friend, but why your hand my gobe inside?
I give you info. Make I feel the gobe too small.
Go.
Joe Pana. Excellium is designed to protect your car engine, decrease fuel consumption, and lower CO2 emissions. Don't say fuel, say Excellium. Choose Excellium, choose quality.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Welcome to Point Blank on Eyewitness News. My name is Salom Adonu. Tonight on Point Blank, Professor Jenana Opoku-Agyeman has been doing some rounds in some markets in the Greater Accra region. We've been joined by a member of her team so we can understand this better and also deal with other issues. Is Professor Sharif Khalid is an associate professor of accounting and finance and a member of the NDC Economics and Finance team. Prof, welcome to the program.
Yeah, thank you very much.
It's been a while since we saw you.
Yeah.
What have you been doing?
On the campaign trail.
How is it going?
Pretty much good. So we'd say, alhamdulillah, we're getting there.
I see. So your vice presidential candidate or your running mate has been touring some markets in Accra. What's she doing? What's the strategy? What's he seeking to achieve with this tour?
Well, you could liken it to a door-to-door campaign where she's getting the real feel and touch of the markets. So today she's made or visited two significant markets or big markets in Accra, which is the Malanata market, the Kaneshi market, and crowned it all at the Ododo constituency, which houses the Makola market. So it's about explaining key policies that are integral to the development and progress, and for that matter, policies that can lift the average Ghanaian and market woman from the economic doldrums that we've been subjected to in the last couple of months.
Policies like what?
I mean,
policies like what?
Women Development Bank. The 24-hour development.
So what would the Women Development Bank, for example, do? If I'm a woman, the bank is set up, I walk in and they give me a loan without asking the questions which prevent women or which the questions that disadvantage women and other people from getting the loans. This bank will not do those checks before giving out the loans?
Well, when you say checks, I mean, if you put it that way, that's really going to be very plain. But you look at it, this has been thought through carefully. All around the world, the birth of microfinance was a feminine thing. It sought to empower women, because what you realize is that women are often breadwinners and they play multiple roles. A man could be an income earner and bring nothing home, but when a woman is an income earner, on average, it tends to trickle down. So empowering them is key, and economic empowerment is fundamental to this. And there are several barriers that inhibits women from actually accessing finance. And you could see a classic case of a woman bank in countries such as Bangladesh and all of that ought to bring in financial inclusion. And these are all developing country perspectives. So let's say a women development bank exists. It has a board that is chaired by women. And as you would know, again, research has it that when women sit on corporate boards, they are more prudent, they have understanding,
they're more
efficient, and they have a real feel of the understanding, because this is all a women affair. They know what they go through because they best know it, not a man. So if it has a board that encompasses all women, chaired by a woman, and a CEO a woman, so they really understand the real woman problem and what they can turn around. Give a woman 2,000 Ghana cedis and see what she can do with it in 6 months. So this bank is aimed at actually breaking those barriers, flattening them, and allowing access, and also providing and promoting financial inclusion. Right. So this is what it aimed to do. And by doing this, you'd see that it's going to help put a lot of kids in school. It's going to help sustainability within families. So, and this cuts across board, even nutrition within families, increase when you have women within the financial inclusion bracket.
How different would this be from Maslow? I mean, Maslow was set up for a similar reason. And of course, Maslow is not only for women, and so it also means that the women bank, if I'm a man, I cannot access anything there.
No, it's solely for women.
Yes. So Maslow,
and what it tells you,
Maslow has a similar objective.
Yes,
and there's Maslow. So why won't you improve Maslow rather than going to set up a new
well,
bank?
as you'd say, as I said, there are several inhibitions when it comes to women accessing finance. Right, we have traditional banks. Maslow can still exist alongside that. You look at
that'll be a duplication.
No, it's not a duplication. You look at the population pool. Women are more than men, as you'd see. So if you're duplicating anything that will still give women more access and an upper hand, then it's a good thing to go for. It's never a duplication. But what this is saying is that the tick box exercises that you go through to access a loan facility which has collateral implications and all of that are not going to exist when it comes to Women Development Bank, because you also realize that statistics and evidence of research would also tell you that women are good at repaying loans than even men. So trying to have this exclusive bank for women in and of itself, it's understanding that women really need access and knowing the women problem and allowing women to take that charge in empowering themselves.
So see, the problem with things like this, like Maslow, for example, I mean, Maslow has said the problem they've had is repayment.
Yes.
So because it's made to assume a political face, people take loans, they don't come back to pay because they feel that they've worked for a certain party, the parties want power, so this is their reward. How sure are we that this Women Development Bank will not suffer the same fate?
When you are implementing social interventions and policies, even the formation of it and the nomenclature actually gives it or embodies how it ought to be approached. This comes with the word bank, and it tells you serious business. It comes with the nature, or it's clad already as a bank. So there's a difference between what Maslow is or what a constituency party chair or someone would say somewhere and call to say, okay, can you get this person a motorbike whatsoever. But this is something that gives needs assessment to women who need it, right? It allows to say, okay, well, how much payment period do you think you can have as far as this is concerned? What is the average period, or what kind of business are you going into, right? How much of interest could you pay on this? So they are the modalities that ought to be looked at to actually have
there'll be no collateral. I mean, people you just assess them a certain way. You give them the loans.
Yes.
And so my issue is
not loans. Also, what are you failing to realize?
Technical support. But loans is what makes the thing very attractive.
Well,
right?
Access to finance.
Yes, access.
Let's not make it loans.
Access to finance. People come for the money and they are not paying. There's no collateral for you to fall on. How are you going to recover your money? You take them to court? How are you going to do it?
Yeah, but no, the point is when you
do it the way the banks are doing it, because the banks with all these measures they have high NPLs.
No, but you're already sounding draconian. Even with traditional banks, when certain businesses of a certain pedigree owe them, they can even take them to courts.
But
right?
So but they have that tool available. And we see them in court every day.
In there, yes. But this is a tool that is social in nature. And mind you, we just passed the affirmative action bill, right? So this goes to confirm the NDC's readiness in actually embracing the affirmative action bill, in putting it in action, and allowing it to be practicalized and have impact on the female population of this country, which is the largest. Right? And when that happens, it trickles down to kids and family well-being and the improvement of our social cohorts as far as families are concerned. This even has longevity issues because families are going to be, the well-being of families would improve. So what is actually going to happen is the draconian nature of traditional banks and the inhibitions are going to be removed.
You talked about the 24-hour economy as well, that she's explaining to the people or telling the people about the 24-hour economy to increase job opportunities, etc. The 24-hour economy has been described. Various explanations have been given to it. The latest one we heard from the launch of your manifesto, youth manifesto, is a 133, one job for 3 people, 3 different shifts. What is going to be government's investment or contribution to this particular policy?
You see, when we talk about the 24-hour economy, and I see a lot of people trying to poo-poo it, and I heard Dr. Baumia talking about chop bars operating 24/7. And when we start having that conversation, we miss the plot as far as its impact.
But to be fair, if chop bars are operating 24 hours, it's part of the 24-hour economy, so there is demand for it.
Of course, but
so
that
I
was
think the point
that was said in a derogatory manner, not really within the policy principle of
making was that it's nothing new, because when you go to the bus stop right now, a very busy place where the place runs 24 hours already, people will be hungry, so they will eat. So there is demand for it.
No. When you have an informal existence of something, doesn't mean it exists. Right. So here's what we say: there's a demand side to 24-hour economy, and there is an incentive side to it. And this is where we come to what you're trying to say. So by the demand side, there are certain pools of the economy that are calling for the 24-hour economy, and the incentive side is that there are already existing pockets of initiatives or private initiatives that tend to mimic a 24-hour economy. What can government do to incentivize these, these pockets of existence? For instance, you could drive up to Oxford Street, there's a 24-hour pharmacy. But what support is there to encourage a lot more pharmacies to run 24 hours?
So if I have a pharmacy located in an area where there are no people or there are not a lot of people,
that is why I said
I cannot run.
But that's why I said incentive and demand, right? Airport Shell. They run 24 hours,
yes,
right?
Because there's demand.
There's demand for it, and where it's located.
So any good business will see the opportunity.
No, but the point is, if the government initiates, say, okay, past midnight, we recalibrate the pumps, right? Anything that comes out of the pump to a tank attracts a 0.5% off tax if you operate past midnight.
So more people.
So you'd have more fuel stations. No, I'm not saying more people, depending on strategic locations, or people even begin to strategically locate their fuel stations.
People wake up and go buy fuel at that time.
No, why would you want to? No,
because of the incentive.
No, do you wake up to go to Airport Shell to buy fuel?
No, because
of the incentive.
If I'm passing by Airport Shell, I need fuel.
Yes, you do.
No matter the time, I'll go get fuel.
Yes. And I drive there occasionally because if I feel that it's past midnight and I still need fuel in town, I would go there. So if there are a lot more of those stations around town, then what it means is that we are incentivizing that to operate. Now, in terms of demand side, I mean, when we talk about the 24-hour economy, we are talking about a 3-shift economy. You may say hotels or hospitality, but there's a vast difference between a night economy and a 24-hour economy. So when we're talking about night economy, we are talking entertainment and hospitality. But here in Accra, except weekends or by weekends, you go into, let's say, a hotel. By 10 p.m., the restaurant is shut. You only have a skeletal staff probably running concierge services. So how do you incentivize this hotel to be functional and effective within the 24-hour economy? Hospitality and entertainment. By 11 p.m., bars, restaurants, and the likes of that are shut as well, except maybe when you have, except when you go to other places where you can have like midnight operations and the likes of that. So again, how do we incentivize this entertainment and hospitality industry to also run that 20? But within that, we say it's a 3-shift economy. Right. And to actually have it practicalized, you may have to revise labor laws, right, to do all of these things. So which is why I would tell you that if you say a chop bar probably or a lorry station runs 24/7 means it's running a 24-hour economy. No. right? And by the trade shift economy, we are talking about personnel changing hands, having some rest. Imagine that, okay, you have a wife, right? Who probably works in a supermarket, sells groceries. You can even arrange your family time because you are within a shift system where you can have work-life balance. Instead of maybe going to a crèche when you don't need to put your son or daughter in a crèche to pay so much money. When dad is at home, mom is at work because they are running through a shift system. You drive through a pothole at night within the construction side of things. You wake up in the morning because workers are working throughout the night, filling up this. You drive on a posh or renovated road.
So when you
that
talk
is
about
a 24-hour economy in action.
So 24. But when you talk about 24-hour economy, a lot of the people think about industry. So you.
No, I think that we are picturing it in a very monstrous style that we ourselves don't really have a full appreciation of.
So industry, that's where the chunk of the jobs perhaps will be.
But services even can still have 24 hours. Passports and what have you.
But passports, we talk about backlog, for example. The minister said that he was going to bring heavy-duty machines that could clear about 20,000 passports in a day.
That is the minister saying, but that doesn't mean that.
So it means that technology exists, right? It exists. You can clear.
Well, but in other jurisdiction, we still pay express for passports.
So you can get those things done. So when the backlog is cleared, what then happens to the 24-hour?
No, but what I'm saying is that in other jurisdictions that are even more advanced than us, we still pay extra to have an express service.
Yes, that's fair.
So that existence of the machine or not is neither here nor there.
So
invariably, that is what I'm saying.
If I can do something between 8 and 5 and be efficient, backlog is cleared.
Yes.
I can do something between 8 and 5 and be efficient.
Yes.
I will stay on, or I'll say we'll stay on
for the next
day because it's a 24-hour
That is why I told you demand side and incentive side. It's not a carte blanche. It's not like we're going to say lock, stock and barrel everywhere must be 24 hours. No. We have to look at the key sectors of the economy that need it. Right? Lorries running up and down the country, bringing proceeds into supermarkets and the likes of that. We are a growing economy.
So is there
call centers operating?
Is there an idea about how many jobs, for example?
Do you have an idea? Do you have an idea how much India earn just on call center services? And that runs 24 hours services. And European countries or developed nations are shipping
outsource their
call centers to these places. So imagine. So how is that not practical within a 24-hour or a 3-shift economy?
So Prof. Nana Pokwaa-Agyeman is explaining all of this to people at the lorries, at the markets and lorry stations. What's been the response like? What do the people tell her?
Very positive. If you want, I could play a video to you of a lady who got so excited and even explained it to me in Fanti of how she appreciates it. So when people pretend
how she appreciates what the
24 economy and and how it's going to create jobs for her and her contemporaries.
So what else has she been telling the people in the markets and the lorry stations she's been visiting?
No, well, it's all about development. It's all about empowerment. Women. She exemplifies herself to say that I'm a woman is the belief in women empowerment that John Dramani Mahama made me running mate. And that's a reflection. It's an inspiration to our daughters. Right. So there's a lot more to be done. You look at economic woes that we are going through. The haircuts. She speaks about it in very nice and decent manner. Because the point is, back in the day, Salom, pension pots were the safest. Right? Domestic debt exchange program, we had to extend our arms to pension pots. Treasury bills were something parents invested in. Even when we were in secondary school, business students would want to, buy treasury bills as clubs and all of that.
Treasury bills are still safe. Bonds,
they're not as safe as they used to be. When I say people are shying away from them because they are not as safe as they used to be. But back in the day, these are things people went to straight away. Pension funds are blue chip investments. Nobody touched them globally. Anywhere in the world would anyone touch pension pots or pension bonds. Today, what has happened? Thanks to what? Domestic debt exchange program. Right, which is as a result of a reckless borrowing spree by a finance minister who has gone to the international bond market, borrowed at very astronomical rates with nothing to show for it in terms of return on investments. And here we are today, a central bank, we have a cloud of debt hanging over us as a country, a central bank posting losses, just prioritizing the building of a headquarters. Among all of these things, corrupt issues
You
the
launched
SMLs,
yes,
among other issues.
You launched a youth manifesto recently, and you want to create a dedicated ministry for youth development.
Yes.
I mean, why? What's wrong with the current system, youth and sports? It's young people who engage in sports. So putting youth and sports together makes sense. Why do you want to make it youth? A ministry for youth development. What happens to sports? You move it somewhere else? Education, perhaps?
No, it tells you how we prioritize the youth of this country.
What will be different?
Salam, I mean, when you say what it tells you priority and focus, right? Hans Rosling will tell you that the world's PIN code is 1114. What it means is that you had a 1 billion population in Europe, you have 1 billion in Africa, and 1 billion in America, and 4 billion in Asia. By 2050, this is going to be 25. What it means is that Africa would have doubled 2 billion. And this population is youthful. You could see birth rates very high. Our universities are getting... So it tells you the visionary nature of the NDC and its future-proofing of how it's embracing the youth. So by creating a youth ministry, what it means is that it's going to have a dedicated machine to the growth and development of youth in this country. I mean, look around. International Youth Day. It only took the NDC to launch a rigorous manifesto, crowned it all with a youth town hall at the Bukom Boxing Arena. And you had both flag bearer and running mate standing on their feet, engaged in this process for 12 hours. Because the manifesto launch started in the morning and ended up at Bukom past 10 p.m. to almost midnight. So it tells you the dedication to it. So if we're talking about a youth ministry, it tells you that, okay, well, youth is the engine of the economy, is the engine of any society, is the future of any society. So why don't we create a separate ministry and give it the focus that it deserves rather than making it an auxiliary to any other ministry?
I see. So of course, we earlier spoke about, I spoke about the free level 100 tuition fee thing with a park and a few others. But you are here and you are a younger person. I mean, what's this supposed to do? Improve access. But we've also talked about equity, and we've had issues with the blanket nature that free SHS, for example, is being implemented. So if you have the opportunity to do it again, why do you go for a blanket approach? Everybody gets it free.
It's not a blanket approach.
Every level one person gets it free.
If you look at it from an NDC perspective, even linking it to our position when it came to free SHS, we advocated for a gradualist approach. We said it was going to be gradual.
So is that what you're going to do?
This is when I say gradual. I'm coming to it. You could have just said free tertiary education for all. But what did we say? For level 100 and its academic fees. What happens, Salon? If you look at it in terms of interventions, you just don't run amok. Right, on a blanket basis, implement a policy. So what is going to happen is that, okay, you said it's for first year students. That does not mean the policy would stay at that. After a year, 2 or so, it gets reviewed. What are the impact? What is the improvement in terms of access? What are female ratios? Right, what is the quality that we are getting? Can we add level 200s? Can we add level 300s? And that is the gradualist nature of implementing the policy. Even level 100
but
I'm coming, level 100 itself. But you know,
how are we funding this?
There's evidence, I'll come to that. There's evidence out there in countries like Ecuador and Chile that has actually implemented it, improve access, bridge the gap, and increase access to even female having university education. Imagine this, right? You were to go to uni and your parents could only afford your first year. Would they say sit home, not go? They would say go, let's see what we could do to get that. By paying that first year fee, it gives parents some respite, a breathing space, and a buffer to actually plan on paying a second or third. So this is how social interventions happen, and which is why it's just limited to first year for now.
We are running a tight economy now.
Yes.
I mean, where are we going to find the money? Or there's no clear funding source for this.
I mean,
how are we going to fund this?
No, when you say there's no clear source, what do you say?
No, how are we going to fund this? I mean, the issue about
how are we funding free SHS?
You know, we fund it from
various
sources. But we say free SHS alone is taking a chunk of the education budget.
Yes.
And here we are going to add something else. You know, how are we going to fund it? We should be clear. For example, we are told that revenue from the oil resource is being used for the free SHS budget reallocations made, etc., etc. We are not clear.
No, when a government when a government comes into office, it has a bouquet of funding sources that it can tap into. Education budget alone, right? It's massive enough to look into to say, okay, what could we take to A, B, C, and D to get this through? I mean, all these astroturfs we're having around town, how are they being funded?
There are philanthropists funding them. Churches are building them.
No, I'm not talking about those from. I'm not doctor. You know what I'm talking about in terms of astroturfs that are being built by government agencies. Right. So I mean, but you look at it, it's just a minute percentage of the current component funding of the free SHS. So why is it not doable? If free SHS is doable.
But if I can pay, why do you want to give it to me for free?
Well, but there's going to be needs assessments also.
Yeah, but you're saying for everybody. That's what we get.
If you can pay, right? If you can pay, what it means is that you carry on through with your second, third, and fourth years. But those parents that need that respite would have time to plan and save up for it. So it tells you that it's not even a discriminatory policy. Which is why I tell you, it's get piloted for a year. It could be tweaked to say, okay, well, majority of people are able to pay. Why don't we have a needs assessment? But as it stands now, we are not discriminatory about it. It's open to all.
Very well. Professor Khalid Sharif of the Professor Jinan Naupoko Ajiman's team, touring the markets and interacting with market women. He's also a member of the NDC Finance and Economics team. He's a professor of finance and accounting. He's been my guest on Point Blank tonight, looking at the tour by the vice presidential candidate and the NDC portions of the NDC Youth Manifesto. So I will conclude today's edition of Eyewitness News and Point Blank. Came to you live from our studios here at number 11, Dr. Martin Lupin at Dabraka in Accra. Show produced by Nana Kobna Wilson and Beverly in London, with assistance from Jude Duncan. Desmond Yakun provided technical assistance. Edwin Kofi was on social media duties. We also heard Hawa Idrisu Mustafa earlier. And my name is Salom Adonu. Up next is Sister. Have a good evening.
City.